Hey everybody, this is Tim from the Marching Roundtable and also Marching Arts Education. I am really happy to be talking to this gentleman, Keith Kelly. Keith, how are you, sir?
I'm good, Tim. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So we met at DCI a year or two ago, I don't know, and it was wonderful meeting you.
Yeah.
And
It
I
feels like
love this.
a long time, Tim. I mean, I only met you for the first time last year, but it feels like I know you for a long time from the podcast. I've been a big fan, as I've said.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that you like the podcast and thank you for listening. And I hope that you found some of it helpful. That's awesome. And it's
Mhm.
funny because I meet people often and they'll be like, "Oh wow, I know your voice." And there you are. It's coming out of your like it's kind of fun to have that experience with them. It actually happened yesterday. We had a DCI show here in Orlando, and I was doing some
Yeah.
interviews, and there were actually some people that were like, it was surprising to them to hear my voice in person because people are familiar with it, which is really fun for me.
Yeah.
So you're in Ireland, which I think is very cool. It's like it's 4:30 my time and it's 9:30 p.m. your time. So
Right.
I love that this technology allows us to talk.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, my whole world is this nowadays. My job is building bridges between American banding and Irish banding, and more recently, I suppose, even more internationally than that. But I suppose we can get into all of that.
Well, I think it's really cool. So there's two really exciting things that you have going on. And when you were sort of contacting me about it, and I said, I think this is so interesting. I would love to have a conversation with you and share that so that people can know the stuff that's going on. So is the first one the event that's happening at DCI?
Yeah, so I suppose my introduction to DCI, just to get, I'm a really newcomer to DCI. I got involved in a project about 5 years ago. I was involved with a local concert band where I was conducting that concert band for about 9 years at that point. And I was asked to come in to a new show band that had been put together, who were going to go to DCI finals. And this particular director had reached out to DCI to help get his band to finals. And they commissioned a new piece of music, and the director hadn't got a strong background in written music, so I was brought in to conduct this new commission and work on it. So I'd never. If you had have asked me 5 years ago what the difference between DCI was and marching bands, I couldn't tell you. But I got to meet a friend of mine and a mutual friend of ours, John Denovi, about 5 years ago. He was my
Oh,
first introduction
great.
to someone from DCI. And we did our first band camp, and I got to work with John and Colin Bulger from the Ravens, and I just fell in love with the activity. I could see we had started these kids on a Friday morning, and they were, less than inspired about the whole thing. And by Sunday evening, they were just amazing. And just, I fell in love with the whole activity. And I'd done marching band for a long time before that. I was 12 years with the army band here in Ireland. I'd done various tattoos around Europe. I had grown up in a sort of military youth band as such, the Artane band here, marching in front of hundreds of thousands of people per year in the National Stadium here in Ireland. So I had been part of this activity, but DCI just, I mean, it inspired me in that first weekend, and it was shortly after that I started downloading every podcast and YouTube video that I could find until like our next camp 2 months later. So
Awesome.
that was, yeah, about 5 years ago is when I started listening to your voice. So
Well, thank you. That's
yeah,
awesome. So what
that's
was
my.
your instrument?
I'm clarinet. Yeah, clarinet.
There it is. Very good.
Yeah. So one more reason why I didn't know DCI, but yeah, I just wanted to consume everything that I could once I had done that first camp, and I suppose that's a long way of telling you a little bit about what I'm doing now with this DCI fan experience. So I had a great few years working with John and working with a few others. We had Dan Atchison over to Ireland, and he came to some of our shows, and he visited this new school that I was director of. And we did lots of really cool band camps. And about 2 years ago, I started working full time with a tour operator here in Ireland, bringing marching bands over for St. Patrick's Day, setting up concerts for choirs and so on. And myself and John, having a beer, just decided to put this idea together that there was lots of people like me that had fallen in love with the activity. And then when they eventually made it over to Indianapolis, they could have been waiting 20 years, 25 years. This is the first time that they're ever going to make it to finals. They want to do more than just go to see the show. They want to see what it's like backstage. They want to go to rehearsals. They want to really get involved in the activity, because they're probably band directors themselves, or they've merged themselves with a corps somewhere in the world. And so that's what the fan experience is. It's a VIP experience that DCI themselves, through John and through the whole team in DCI, have been able to put all of this backstage VIP access to. We've been able to like have lunch in the offices in Indianapolis. We've been able to, this year we have a lunch with Dan Atchison, which is really cool. And then we're going out to see Santa Clara Vanguard on Friday for their rehearsal. So it's like this exclusive access to rehearsal. So it's really cool. It's really cool. I mean, like, I get to go to all this, which is amazing, you know.
So what's your role with the DCI Fan Experience?
So I'm the coordinator. I put everything together. I'm working with Santa Clara. I'm working with DCI, the hotels, basically putting the whole thing together, coordinating it all. I mean, for years, DCI have been inviting VIP guests over and looking after them, and those VIP guests can now actually plug into this particular experience. So this year, for instance, we have people from Canada, we have people from Scotland, the UK, Ireland. Last year we had people from Japan, New Zealand. So that's all of these people that in previous years they would have come in and the DCI guys would have rolled out the red carpet anyway, but now I get to roll out the red carpet for them and make it a little bit easier for DCI too, you know, so frees up a bit of their time too.
Wow, how fun for you. Like that's awesome. So is this only for people from out of the United States, or can anybody be a part of this?
Half of our tour last year were from the US. We had people that have not only marched DCI, but actually instructed in DCI as well. We had people join us from all sorts of background. We had people that maybe it was their grandson was marching last year. We had people that had marched themselves previously. So it's a really eclectic mix of people that come to us. We had a couple of people from Ireland last year as well, and they had been watching the activity their whole lives, and this was their first chance to actually go to see it. So just to see their faces light up when they're actually watching that first corps in real life, because I mean, you know yourself, like watching it on YouTube, or like we can't get flow marching over here, you know, it's really difficult to get it, you know. So to be able to sit in front of that corps and hear that sound coming at you. Last year we went out to the Blue Devils for our corps rehearsal, and Pat Seidling and John Meaton were just, you know, they did the whole team out there. And then the kids, I mean, the kids, just as soon as they got a break, they were coming over and they were talking to they were delighted to have them there, and to see so many different nationalities coming to their rehearsal. It was amazing. There was a lot more Blue Devils t-shirts bought that night, I think, as a result. You know?
I'm sure of it. But you know what's so cool about what you're saying is, first off, we know, and you know firsthand too, there's nothing like seeing drum corps alive. Like, it's exciting to see it on tape or on TV or wherever you can see it, but if you're sitting there and that sound comes right at you and you're getting the energy of the students off the field, there's nothing like it. So I love that you're giving people, not only are you making sure they can do that, but you're giving them all this sort of behind the scenes stuff. That's something that not everybody gets access to, but I love that you're making that available.
And one of the coolest things last year that again is happening this year, that we had it as part of the tour. We didn't see it as one of the big highlights, but it was the production truck on the Thursday for the Big Loud Live, to see the craft that goes into those perfect angles, how much they actually study the shows beforehand to just get that perfect. It's amazing, and it was something that we had put on the itinerary that it was easy for us to do. We had the access, but we didn't think that it would be such a revelation to our tour, and They loved it. They absolutely, because don't forget, these guys, the only access that they've had to drum corps for 30 years has been those shots, has been through the craftsmanship of these people that have been putting together these tours. So that was brilliant. And then another highlight was getting onto the field on a Friday night to take a picture with the trophy. Just something
cool.
special. Yeah, it really is cool.
Okay, so if somebody's watching this and they're like, hey, maybe I want to do this fan experience, I would love to have some of this behind the scene access. And also some people like to sort of help be guided around, like some people can sort of make it to a corps rehearsal, but that's not something a lot of people feel comfortable doing. So how do they find out about this? Where do they go?
So a couple of places. Our company's name is Celtic Horizon Tours. So if you go to Celtic Horizon Tours /DCI Fan Experience, you'll get that very easy access to that. We're also on Facebook, just at DCI Fan Experience, and also Twitter then as well at DCI Fan Experience. So it's quite easy to find us. Actually, even if you're on the DCI pages themselves, they've been sharing our posts quite frequently over the last week or two then as well. So we're out there. It's pretty easy to find us. Awesome. And yes, you are calling an Irish number. This is an Irish guy that's doing all of this. But yeah, we are completely legit and is completely supported by DCI, and we are actually, as it stands at the moment, the only official DCI Fan Experience partner. Yeah.
Well, I know that you're on the ball, and I think that you're really charming and fun. So I think it would be fun to spend some time with you too on this. So how much of if I was to show up there, how much of my thing are you doing? Are you doing hotels? Are you doing like I get my own air travel? Like how does that part work?
We meet in the lobby of the Omni Severn Hotel, which is our base of operations which, as you know, is right beside the Lucas Oil
Right
Stadium.
there.
So, we meet there at 6 o'clock if you're on. So we have a 5-night package and a 3-night package. The 5-night package, we meet there at 6 o'clock on the Tuesday night, and we're with each other all week. So we organize your accommodation, we organize any busing that you do need to get out to rehearsals, anything like that. Some of your meals, your breakfast, the celebrity lunch with Dan, and pretty much everything, and then all of your show tickets and.
So all I have to do is just get myself there.
You just have to get there. And we can even advise you how to do that if you need.
Right. I'm sure.
So it's if you're on the 5-night experience, you get to go to the Hall of Fame ceremony and you get the lunch with Dan and all of that sort of stuff as well. So particularly international people, they're going to come over for 5 nights. They're not going to just come over for the 3 nights. More domestic market tends to be the 3-night package more so. So they come in on the Thursday night and they're there for prelims, semis, and finals. Then so so it's really cool.
I hope anybody that's interested will check it out. It sounds really great. Actually, I'm hoping, Keith, I'm going to be around that weekend. I'm hoping that I can say hello, certainly, and maybe tag along on some little portion of this and cover that for the Marching Roundtable, because I love this whole fan experience thing. Sounds really great.
You're more than welcome. I mean, you'd be another DCI celebrity in a lot of ways to a lot of people here, so.
Well, that's very nice of you to say that. Okay, so that's really cool. That's a great opportunity, and I know a lot of people, Keith, that like to do like the guided tour kind of thing. Help make it easy on me. I don't want to worry about anything. I'll show up and you take me where I want. Like, people love that, and I love that too. I've been on those myself, so I love that you're making that available.
In fact, I think some of our guys, some of the people on the tour this year have been to DCI many times, and this year they just said, you know what, if there's someone that can do everything for me, they're just booking onto it. So yeah, we have a lot of people like that too.
Yeah, and they get to go to Santa Clara rehearsal. I mean, who doesn't want to see that behind the scenes? Like, that's soak up some of that intelligence floating around.
So
that's awesome. Okay, so you said there was something else that you have going on, another tour thing that you're working on there in Ireland. Is that right?
Yeah, so it's less of a tour and more a festival. My background is, as I said, in marching band, and I'm an instructor, I'm a teacher, I conduct, and I'm very much involved in banding here. So about 2 years ago, we started working together with the Irish Marching Band Association here, which Marching Band Association here is about 25 years old. They've been organising marching band events for as long as they exist. And the bands that are associated with the association are very, very active. They perform at DCE events, Drum Corps Europe events throughout the year. Sound Sport is really active here in Ireland now, which I'm sure you're familiar with, but it's DCI's more flexible friend, particularly for countries like Ireland, and it's one of the reasons that marching band is taking off and it has a bit of a renaissance here in Ireland at the moment. But we decided that we wanted to start organising a festival to bring in more international bands into Ireland. So together with DCI, with DCE, and then with an organisation called WAMSI, the World Association of Show Band Marching. They who are holding their world finals at the moment in Calgary, actually. We started talking to all of these associations about having a weekend here in Ireland where bands of all types, shapes, sizes would be able to come and participate in something. So this year is our inaugural event from July 26th to 28th. We have concert band competitions, we have street parade competitions, we have a big sound sport competition in Limerick City on the Saturday night, and then on the Sunday we have WAMSB judged field shows, DCE judged field shows, and then we have what's called field parade then as well, which is a more sort of a military style stop and start sort of lap of the pitch where marching is judged and music is judged, but it's done in such a way that maybe European bands would be able to take part in that only do that traditional military style marching, which is still very popular here in Ireland. So we want to create a festival that no matter what type of band you're in, you can take part in something, and also you can witness what the other bands are doing and maybe try to step out of your comfort zone next year. So that's a little bit about the festival, the Celtic Band Festival. Yeah, we've committed to this for the next 5 years. So if you're a band director, if you're just a marching arts fan that wants to come over to Ireland and see what it's all about, we're committed to this for the next 5 years, and we're hoping to grow it.
That's very cool. Is it always in July, or are there going to be other times of the year?
Last weekend of July. Last weekend of July is going to be so that bands can start planning ahead of time, because bands are planning. I have bands booking in for the St. Patrick's Festival here in Ireland for 2022 with me at the moment. So bands are planning a long time in the future for their travel, particularly when it's international. So yeah, it's definitely going to be the last weekend in July. And actually this year we have John Meaden from the Blue Devils coming over. So he's going to be judging our Sound Sport event, and he's going to be doing workshops with each of the bands that are attending and giving them some feedback and helping them grow and develop for next year. A big part of the activity here in Ireland is that people aren't willing to step out of their comfort zone a lot. I work with a lot of smaller town bands here that do march, but they don't see marching as necessarily a fundamental part of what they do. A concert band is sort of what they focus on, and so when they do try to do something like Sound Sport, and they like the idea of it, but they don't know where to start with movement. So having John Meaden over this year, but then over the last 5-6 years having John Denovio over and others that have come over to Ireland as well, giving directors just that sense of freedom and that sense of we can be a little bit more creative, and giving them the fundamentals that they just haven't had before is really helpful. So the festival isn't just competitive, it's also meant to be an opportunity for bands and particularly the directors to grow and develop their programs. So
well, and you're also in Ireland,
yeah.
So that's pretty attractive right there. Much less, not taking anything away from John and his brilliance, John Me and his friends, but but that's really cool. I love that you're doing that, and you're absolutely right. That's the same reasoning we started the Marching Roundtable. We thought people just need some basic information. Sometimes it's intimidating. They don't know what to do. They don't know who to ask. So I love that you're doing that. You're making this festival have that aspect to it too, where they can learn and grow and try some things and ask some questions. That's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like, yeah, it is a beautiful part of Ireland as well. Like, I mean, I always forget to put the tour operator hat on me as well. But yeah, it's in Limerick, which is in the Shannon region, sort of. Bunratty Castle is right beside us, and the Cliffs of Moher, which are one of the most famous landmarks in the world. They're about an hour and a half from where we are then as well. And where the festival happens is on the University of Limerick campus, which is a beautiful campus. It has amazing sporting facilities, which we're using for the weekend. Beautiful accommodation, dining. You couldn't ask for anything better. And it gives the whole festival sort of an Olympic village sort of feel, because we're all together. We're all staying in the same place. We're all dining together, having competitions. There's a beautiful concert hall. So yeah, really hoping to grow it. This year, it's probably the biggest event that we've ever held, even this year, and it's an inaugural year. But the interest in it internationally for 2020 and 2021 has been huge. I mean, we've had groups from Brazil, Colombia, Sweden, Germany, the UK, Nigeria, Japan, all looking at potentially coming to us in 2020 and 2021. So it's really exciting, yeah. Even though this year, as I said, isn't going to be that much bigger than some of the other events that the IMBA have done over the years, you know?
And sort of like you mentioned with the DCI experience, I think it would be exciting to be there with my group amongst all these groups from all around the world. Like, that's an experience in itself, really.
Absolutely. And like I, throughout the year, this is what I do. I bring bands, choirs, orchestras into Ireland, and the highlight of their tours in Ireland is always to meet up with the local bands. And through maybe in a tour, a band might meet up with one or two other bands throughout the whole tour. Marching bands find it very difficult to do that here. Like, I've got a marching band coming over in 2021. There's 280 in the band. To try and get them a peer-to-peer experience here in Ireland with an Irish band is next to impossible, because the venues don't exist. And the Irish bands are just going to be swamped, because at their largest, they're only going to be about 40 or 50 people a lot of the time. So an event like this means that these bands can come into Ireland and experience all of these other bands in one event, and potentially other international bands too. So it's great. Last weekend I was in Rastede in Germany, which is also a WAMSB DCE sanctioned event. So very similar to what we're trying to do, but they're 64 years going in Rastede now at this stage. So they really know how to do it. And we had there was bands from Thailand, from Malaysia, of course from Germany, Poland, the Netherlands, UK. So it was just this amazing mix of cultures for the entire weekend. So if we can get even close to that over the next couple of years, it'd be fantastic. I mean, they're holding the World Finals, the World WAMSB Finals in 2021. So wow. Yeah.
Very cool. So say it one more time. If somebody wanted to find out more about your company or the festival, where would they go?
Cool. Well, so for the DCI Fan Experience, I'd advise you to go to my company's website, which is Celtic Horizon Tours /DCI Fan Experience. For the, can you see?
There you go.
Yeah. For the band festival, we have our own independent site, because it is run by the Irish Marching Band Association. My company happens to be putting a lot of the logistics and operational work behind it, Celtic Horizon Tours, but it is an independent festival. So it has its own website, CelticBandFest.com. Really easy to remember, CelticBandFest.com, and it's the same on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter then as well. So at Celtic Band Fest. You'll find us easily. And I have a brand new social media manager. She came on board last week, who marched Blue Nights back in, I don't want to age her, I'm not going to say what year it was, but she marched Blue Nights, and she's now living in Ennis in Ireland. And when I put out looking for volunteers to manage my social media, to get someone that knew how to do social media, number one, and then to also get someone that knew the activity as well as she did, was amazing. So yeah,
she was just there.
She's just after moving to Ireland in September. So big shout out to Mary. She has been a godsend. So great
That's
to have
a great find.
know the activity from day one.
Very cool.
So,
All this is really exciting. I love what you're doing. It sounds to me like you have a really, really fun job, like getting these groups together and working all this out. I'm sure there's, like, every job has its challenges, but I think this is really interesting. I appreciate you taking time to explain all this.
no, it's been great, and as I said, I've been a long time fan and really appreciate all the work that you do. It can be very isolating. I'm very lucky now in the job that I have. That my job is to make connections around the world, which is fantastic. But 5 years ago, I was still with my permanent band. Trying to get information about the activity was next to impossible. So outlets like your podcast and others have been hugely important for me to grow in the activity and to learn about it. So the pleasure is all mine, honestly.
Well, that's awesome. I'm glad that some of what we've done has been helpful to you, and you were worried about me understanding you, but I understood every word you said. So what I do think is really interesting is that you call it banding, and that's not a term that we use in the States, but I like it.
The activity, the banding activity.
Yeah, we don't call it that way. But I like it. I like that term. Like I think it's cool. But that's an interesting phraseology that you guys use.
Turning it into a verb, making it an action word. Yeah.
I mean, that's what we're doing. We're it's active. It's just we've never done that. That's very cool. Anything else you want to say before?
An Irish thing. It could be just me.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Say that again.
I'm not even sure that that's necessarily an Irish thing. It could be just me.
Well, I still like it, even if it's just yours. Anything else you want to say before we go?
No. Look, reach out to me. I'm easy to find as well. Ned Kelly Jr. across all social media. Feel free to reach out to me at any stage, or on the platforms I mentioned before, or on my own platform. Love meeting new people, talking to new people, and learning about the activity even more. So, yeah.
Yeah, so if anybody just wants to talk to you and find out more and feel it out, they'll get in touch.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's been great talking to you.
Brilliant. Thanks, Tim.
Find other interviews and videos from top DCI designers, instructors, and marchers, behind-the-scenes videos, interviews, and podcasts from winter camps, spring training, traveling during the season, and performances, all at marchingartseducation.com/DCI-2019. The Marching Roundtable is proud to be an official media partner of Drum Corps International.